hopefully we don't take more than an hour. I don't want to have too many gathered at one point like this with this many and too long here. Again, yeah. So with that, I'm going to call our meeting to order. Councilman Jesse, could you give us a morning prayer, please?
Yes, sir. Morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Just wanted to say, joking around earlier, but you swear me in this morning, Mike. I've been gone. Appreciate Econ holding it down for me, but I was nursing my Frodo foot, so I'm a little bit better today. But with that, I'll start out with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Amen. And just wanted to add, hope everybody stays healthy out there, especially our elders, and hopefully we could all come to an agreement today and look out for the best interest of our people, of our tribe here. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And then before we get going, we'll swear you in here, and then just tease it. He's been keeping us informed, though his health hasn't been that good. And then, of course, watching out for the little one at home. So, roll call.
Mike Faith Jr.,
Here.
Ira Taken Alive,
Present.
Susan Agard, Riddell Bobtailbear,
Here.
Delray Demery,
Here.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Here.
Warren Hawk,
Here.
Avis Little Eagle,
Here.
Wayne Looking Back,
Here.
Brandon Maui,
Here.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Here.
Corey McLaughlin, John Pretty Bear,
Present.
Nola Taken Alive,
Present.
Caroline Thompson,
Here.
Charles Walker, Joe White Mountain Jr.
Here.
There's a quorum of 15 members present with you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We do have a quorum to do business. Again, Councilman Corey Mack, you're going to be the whip man today. Approval of agenda. Any add-ons? We do have other at the bottom. We have unfinished reports of the districts and committees. And then we'll go from there. No add-ons. I need a motion to approve of the agenda.
I'll move.
Okay, Caroline, second by Jesse. All in favor?
Riddell Bobtailbear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson,
Yes.
Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
14 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Okay,
I vote yes, Mr. Chairman.
Charles, for the record. Arlie,
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
okay, thank you. Moving on. Good morning, Charles.
Morning.
District, unfinished business. Wakpala?
No.
Got anything?
No. Didn't receive no minutes.
Bear Soldier?
Nope.
Cannonball?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Little Eagle?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Porcupine?
Nothing at this time.
Kennel?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Rock Creek?
Nothing at this time, Chairman.
Did I miss anybody?
Long soldier.
Long Soldier.
Nothing at this
Yay! Brandon is glaring at me. Okay, moving on.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
In regards to district reports, I guess I've had concerns from 5 districts, 5 different, 4 in one district, 2 in the other, then the other ones was individuals. But the concerns, I guess, the questions more so is that due to the, I guess, the what is being used is the COVID-19 for social distancing, everything. But the concern is that the district officers are still having a lot of planning meetings and there's no district meetings. So I've been telling people there's no action from the tribal council. Title 20 hasn't been changed. There's still areas in there how to address it. But I just want to state that for the record because I told them I'll bring it up that
Corey.
the concern is that there'd be a lot of meetings and there's no reporting to the people. So that's just what I want to state for the record, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Charles. And again, the districts that are having meetings, you know, the safety issues of that, I think Rock Creek had one last night, and again, the social distancing was of importance, where the gloves and the mask were taken, hand sanitizer was available, and then, of course, they went to a point, and then they cut the door off, so it is what it is. It's some of that stuff has to be passed by the local districts. So, moving on, committees. Econ.
Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a special Econ meeting, April 16th, 2020. Reason for this meeting, we had a few programs that wanted action, so we just decided to call everybody and see if they needed action or just to do a report. Let's see here. Going down to motion number 3, attachment C1 through C3. Motion was made by Samuel Ben Harrison, seconded by Caroline Thompson to approve task order number 2011-00563-1 of the Cannonball Pathway Phase 1 construction management in the amount of $72,977.13, including the taro fees, the funds to come from tribal transportation planning funds. Vote was 3 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting. Motion carried. I'll move.
Second. Second by Warren. Comments, concerns, clarification? If none, all in favor?
Riddell Bob Bear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Lookinback,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson,
Yes.
Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker,
Yes.
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Motion number 4, attachments P1 through P3. Motion was made by Samuel Ben Harrison, seconded by Warren Hawk, to approve task order number 2011-00564-1, Porcupine Pathway Construction Management, in the amount of $49,746.12, including taro fees. The funds to come from tribal transportation planning funds. Vote was 3 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting. Motion carried. I'll move.
Second.
Second by Corey? Oh, Jesse, excuse me. All in favor?
Riddell Bob Bear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Lookinback,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson,
Yes.
Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker,
Yes.
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Motion number 5, motion was made by Caroline Thompson, seconded by Samuel Ben Harrison to approve task order number 2011-00565-1, Bullhead Pathway Phase 1 Construction Management in the amount of $62,229.39, including taro fees. The funds to come from Tribal Transportation Planning Funds. Vote was 3 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting. Motion carried. I'll move.
John, second. Second by Caroline. All in favor?
Riddell Bob Tilbear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson,
Yes.
Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker,
Yes.
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Motion number 6, attachments M1. Motion was made by Samuel Ben Harrison, seconded by Caroline Thompson, to approve to amend task order number 1911-01103-01 in the amended amount of $44,834.19. Vote was 3 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting. Motion carried.
There's no M1.
Motion?
I'll move.
Ben, second. Caroline, clarification, comments?
Okay, so this motion here, I don't see it in the attachments, but this motion here is the washout. So they weren't expecting to come back. It was expected to, well, KLJ, you need them on site to continue. So that's why they had to modify this to add for that time of a person being there and whatnot, so.
Thank you. John, since we're there, council, you gotta, I think it's within a week out. We're gonna be closing that road for 2 weeks.
Yep.
They're coming back in and they're gonna, complete the project. So I told Ron to get the appropriate announcement out, and the end of the month, it's gonna be a 2-week period. 23rd, I'm thinking, that's right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
23rd till the, guys help me on this one, the 7th or 8th?
I think it was May 6th.
Okay.
Is that
It's gonna be a 2-week period. They're gonna shut down the 1806 road here, going towards Kennel, where the big washout was, where the culvert went out. And the contractor's coming back to complete the project.
That
So
concrete or asphalt?
it sounds like concrete. It was my understanding that's what that's gonna be. So again, pass the word, we'll get the word out. Ron hopefully will also assist us in that to get the communications out to the appropriate communities that drive that and the public. So that's right around the corner.
Chairman, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know, John, I don't know if you could answer this either, but since they're coming back, I noticed there's a lot of like debris and trash laying on that right side of the road by that, where that water kind of rolls down that rock there. Wonder if they're gonna clean that up too, or pick that up?
I believe if it's their trash, then they should have picked it up before they even had left as a contractor. Maybe we can adjust that with Ron. Let them know that that they didn't clean up after themselves when they got done finished with it, so.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, like, the old culvert, you're right, both sides actually should be beautified a little bit there. There's a lot of debris laying around, don't look good. Reminder for some of a day that, wasn't good, so.
I think at the
Thank you.
time, Mr. Chairman, when they finished the culvert, and we had that blizzard, I don't think they could have gotten to that stuff until it's spring anyway, so they're probably coming back after it, so.
Thank you. Got a motion, second?
Riddell Bob Tilbear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison, Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson,
Yes.
Joe White Mountain Jr., Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker. 15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Okay,
Motion number 7, motion was made by Samuel Ben Harrison, seconded by Warren Hawk, to approve task order number 2011-00566-1 for H crosswalk and rapid flashing beacon design in the amount of $7,298.17, including tariff fees. The funds to come from North Dakota tax. Vote was 3 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
motion,
Move.
Warren, second by
Avis.
Avis. Thank you. Comments, concerns?
Just for clarification, Mr. Chairman, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but because it's not because, but excuse my language on that one. Due to this order coming forward, I think there's gotta be a modification to our tip plan. And so there's probably gonna be some stuff that's gonna be put on hold. So just be aware, some districts might not get certain things that were on their tip already. So just be prepared for that to come down.
Thank you. Any other? If not, all in favor?
Riddell Bobtail Bear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson,
Yes.
Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker. 15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Motion number 9, I'm not sure if that needs council action or if that should be just for the record. But I'll read it. Motion number 9, motion was made by Samuel Ben Harrison, seconded by Warren Hawk, to approve 6 individuals' reoccurring consultant agreements for tribal cultural property survey to come from account number 3091 for the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe Tribal Historic Preservation Office in the amount of $1,499 beginning April 17th, 2020 and ending December 30th, 2020.
That's fine, that's committee, but again, as long as you had it in your budget, if John has it in his budget, that's fine. And we've done that to the roads also, so
Okay.
that's fine.
And just, just for record that with the water receding, there's been a lot of exposing going forward, so that's kind of why we need these ones on.
Thank you.
Motion number 11, motion was made by Samuel Ben Harrison, seconded by Warren Hawk, to approve sewer charges of $40 on up for public buildings depending on the size. Vote was 3 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
I'll move.
Second,
Second.
Ben, comments, clarification? If none, all in favor?
Riddell Bobtail Bear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson,
Yes.
Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker.
Yes.
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Motion number 12, motion was made by Samuel Ben Harrison, seconded by Warren Hawk, to approve to accept 48's main replacement bid opening was April 9th, 2020 with 2 bidders. Elite Enterprises being the lowest bidder of $2,697,485. Funds coming from BOR and IHS. Vote was 3 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried. I'll move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Charles. Comments, clarification? If none, all in favor?
Riddell Bobtail Bear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson,
Yes.
Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker.
Yes.
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Motion number 15, motion was made by Samuel Ben Harrison, seconded by Warren Hawk, to approve leasing ordinance Title 42. Vote was 2 yes, 0 no, 2 not voting, motion carried.
Motion.
I'll move.
Ben, second.
Leasing ordinance.
Second.
Warren, comments, clarification?
Question,
Go ahead.
the leasing ordinance, where's the,
Just that one page?
I guess with the ordinance, I was just wondering why it was going through Econ.
I was going through Econ because it has to do with land. It was brought to us by Joe Smith. So we figured we'd just bring it to the floor.
I guess that's not what Title 19 says, but,
Yeah.
so
Well-
I'm against that then.
It was posted for 30 days and everything followed all proper procedures, so.
This pertains to the wind turbines?
Yep. Heard that.
Okay, I think clarifying it now, the wind turbine project is what it is. Comments have been clarified and given. All in favor?
Riddell Bob Bear,
Yes.
Valerie Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
No.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
No.
Ira Taken Alive,
No.
Nola Taken Alive,
No.
Charles Walker,
No.
10 yes, 5 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Continue.
That, Mr. Chairman, that completes our minutes for April 16th, 2020. I'll move to approval.
John, second by
Second.
Yeah.
Jesse? All in favor?
Riddell Bob Bear,
Yes.
Valerie Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker,
Yes.
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Thank you. HEW,
Mr. Chairman, we do not have anything further at this time.
what the?
Yeah. we can.
Judicial,
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we have is one set of minutes. We have 3 motions up for consideration. 1, 2. This one right here, I think that we agreed that it would be brought forth. We could just send it anyway, but motion number 2, motion was made by Avis Illegal, second by Nola Taken Lab to approve to request a letter be sent to State of North Dakota Department of Health and the State of South Dakota Department of Health to request drive-through community testing. What was 7 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried. I'll move.
Second.
motion and a second.
And clarification on that, it's just a request. We did see, and not all of us, we all kind of had different parts of the information. You know, the state, North Dakota did assist with MHA, but the reasoning behind it is we understand is that they're doing a lot of testing there because they had some significant numbers, which was, I believe, 14 or so. But even one, I believe, positive test is significant because it's in the area, and some would say they're winning the battle on it. But the thing is, those that are saying they're winning the battle, they're not testing. So that's the thing. It's a request to get some testing done. That's the background.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
say, well, this is for Mr. Councilman Walker. Can everybody that wants to be tested on Standing Rock be tested? And that's one. Number 2, I know that from listening to other council representatives stating that, well, we only got X amount of kits and the first line people. when we sit here around this half circle and talk about our elderlies. I think they're critical. So I would like to see, is IHS going to bring more testing equipment to here, except for them 3 people that sat here at the front in the center giving us answers? Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
Mr.
Go ahead,
Chair,
Joe.
I know I agree with this, and I know I brought that up last meeting about this machine that they have. Remember, Ira, what's it called again? And I don't know what is it called again? Avid ID Rapid Testing Machine. All the tribes on South Dakota got one, and we didn't get one. So I asked if we can look into that and see if we do have them here, because we could place one on McLaughlin IHS too. And that tells you if you have it within half an hour, I think it is. So we need to start testing, and then, geez, I lost my train of thought here, so.
What, Avis?
I think we did get one of those machines at the Indian Health Service, and what we were told at that committee meeting is they received 42 of the rapid tests, and then they had to test it, and they used 7 of those tests to test it, and then the rest they're gonna hold for their frontline employees, which means the IHS employees that are working over there. And other than that, I think we're still down to the 230 tests that they reported that we had before, 30 in McLaughlin and 200 up here. But during all the stimulus payments and everything, the Health and Human Services is got a contract with Abbott Labs, and they're gonna be doing 50,000, making 50,000 tests a day to try to get them out to the people. And so I'm hoping some of those tests are gonna come this way. And so this motion right here is really to just how they did the drive-through up there, because we are also informed by IHS that they're not gonna do the drive-through now. Like at the beginning, Jana told us that they were gonna set up drive-through testing, but now they're not gonna. So I would like to have this letter written to both North Dakota and South Dakota so that we can get more testing up here for our people.
Mr. Chair, it came back to me now. No, what's scary about this is that we can be walking around with it and we don't even have any symptoms, so we need to start doing more testing, so.
Thank you. Again, it's so important. Keeping in mind, the numbers that may be available at IHS. You guys that were on the call yesterday heard Jana, you heard George. So again, the intent is good. Hopefully we can get the kits here and get it done. And hopefully we have people to comply or step up and take it. So it's a good motion. It's needed so we can get some more numbers out there. All in favor?
Riddell Bob Telbear,
Yes.
Valerie Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr., Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker.
Yes.
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Motion number 3, motion was made by Verdell Bob Tilbear, seconded by Corey McLaughlin to approve to authorize the establishment of a reservation-wide curfew and shelter in place by resolution. Vote was 6 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting. Motion carried. I'll move.
Second.
Nola, comments? Wayne?
When is that gonna, you have time frame, 10 o'clock to 7 in the morning, or is there gonna be where can't move period? Because being from Walkballa, we need to go to Mobers to get groceries and whatever we need. And I'm sure there's other districts that need to go off. So I need more specifics than what I
believe
heard.
It's 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. if, I guess one of the things, oh, sorry for that, Mr. Chairman, I just started talking, but, I was, I wasn't really, wrong words to use, but I was kind of on the fence with it because I had a lot of people saying, well, this, and it comes down to personal responsibility. But after I went out into the communities and spoke with those that live within the communities, they say it's a need because all night there's Boot Hill, Sioux Village, Bear Soldier West, Bear Soldier South, Running Antelope, even Kennel, all the districts, they say there's people out and about. And even if you get up in the morning, elders get up, they have appointments, they have to get up 5, 6 in the morning, there's still people out. And it's those that, I guess, not to point finger or blame, but it's individuals that are out and about that will jeopardize the health and safety of our elders. So I'm gonna have to move forward and support this for those elders that I spoke with over the past 3 days. It's a tough decision. I know that nobody wants to force a change of life on anybody because every single one of us that are here, we don't have a choice. Our lives are changed, and it may never go back to the way it was 3 months ago. So this is one of those issues that we really need to take it out to the people and see what they want. My personal view on it is a little bit different, but it's not about me. It's about those people that we represent. So that's just some of the background and clarification on what I see. And I'd like, if we could, go around this table, and I know we have Chief Edwards here also, and he could probably share some information too. Because, if you remember a month ago, when the schools closed down, there was a spike in juvenile crime and those out after curfew. And it was before the curfew was brought forth as a...
Come on up, Chief Edwards.
Before it was brought forth in the from the chairman's office. So there's maybe some more insight that Chief can provide for us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Before we go around, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Go right ahead with your comments.
Yes, so I've been actually voicing some of these concerns up. Our juvenile crimes are still spiked, heavily involving alcohol. Most all the juvenile incidents that are fights, we've even had assaults on several officers from juveniles, have all been involving alcohol and are all past curfew times. Given that too, even some of our adults that have been drinking throughout the entire night in groups, large groups, have spanned into 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. We're getting DUIs, assaults on officers, fleas, pursuits throughout the entire nights right now. There's definitely a specific group of people, both juvenile and adult alike, that are not hearing any advisements and are moving more towards using alcohol and drugs to deal with things in a different way, which has caused a huge strain on us because we're dealing with that versus able to get out and do more things in the community, more of a community-type basing policing that we were looking for. We're still involved in a lot of crimes, a lot of aggravated assaults, and other issues that are going on throughout the entire night.
So you guys going to be ready to give citations and create more criminals? And see, keep in mind, if you give somebody a citation, and if it's for curfew, and with the court system being what it is, and if they don't go to court, they end up on a contempt list, which could be 5 or 6, 7 pages. Somebody's going down the road a year from now and gets stopped for a minor. Guess what? They're going to be held because they're on that once and warrants list. So again, hopefully you guys' plan comes together, whatever it may be. But again, to start this, I think advising people, but if you're gonna constantly have people that are gonna abuse that system or challenge it, then I guess you need to really put a citation out to them, I guess, because it carries, if I'm not, I don't know, I haven't seen it, but it's probably gonna carry a fine. Charles, is that?
No, the
does it?
resolution that, it's on the shared drive also. So the resolution, and I know we had some questions that we wanted to post for comment. And we know that the states are talking, the state South Dakota is not closing down. State North Dakota is talking about opening back up, coming up the first. Stimulus checks, some people have received them, others are waiting on them. I think that's just a disaster. You know, it's a recipe for disaster, they say, because we're gonna have a lot of people coming in, and we you take a look at what the resolution states. It is that it talks about those that would be out. It's basically in Title IV in the criminal code. Disorderly conduct covers a wide range. It's very, not to say vague, but it covers everything and anything. So, you know, someone could make an obscene gesture here, or someone could be cussing around, and you basically, or be a nuisance, could do it, just a lot of different things. And within here, it says that it can be identified that. So at the end part, be it further, so I'll read it. I'll read the whole resolution, I might as well, so that people can hear. A resolution authorizing the establishment of a reservation-wide curfew and shelter in place. The Standing Rock Sioux Tribe is an unincorporated tribe of Indians having accepted the Indian Reorganization Act of June 18, 1934, with the exception of Section 16. Let me just pass all this. That's basic language. Whereas on March 13, 2020, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Council by resolution declared a state of emergency on the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe Indian Reservation to address the dangers created by the COVID-19 virus. Pursuant to emergency declaration, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe Administration has closed tribal offices to the public, has identified essential tribal programs and personnel, advised all reservation residents to stay home, has restricted travel for Standing Rock Sioux Tribe employees, advised all residents of the reservation to avoid large groups, encourage social distancing and self-hygiene, provided educational materials to the public community about the COVID-19 virus, shared guidelines from federal and world organizations, Center for Disease Control and World Health Organization, and encouraged deep cleaning and disinfection of homes and workplaces. And whereas the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe hereby declares that the COVID-19 virus and its danger to the residents of the Standing Rock Sioux Indian Reservation requires the tribe to take emergency measures to protect all residents of the Standing Rock Sioux Indian Reservation in accordance with the emergency declaration. Whereas an outbreak of the respiratory disease COVID-19 threatens the health and safety of all residents of the reservation because it is highly contagious and the full scope of its spread is unknown at this time. And whereas there is no known treatment or vaccine to treat or prevent COVID-19, as of this time, access of test kits is severely limited. While the majority of the people who become infected will experience only mild symptoms, there have been numerous deaths attributable to the COVID-19 virus. And whereas the CDC and WHO recommend social distancing is the best prevention and protection against this deadly disease, social distancing is a method of slowing down or stopping the spread of the contagious disease by reducing the probability of contact between infected persons and those not infected in order to minimize disease transmission. And whereas failure to successfully implement social distancing will likely result in higher numbers of infected persons and has the potential to overwhelm the healthcare providers that serve the reservation. Whereas hundreds of cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed throughout North South Dakota as of today. in particular the Bismarck-Mandan, North Dakota area, which is a major medical, retail, and recreational destination for many of the residents of the Standing Rock Reservation. It is ground zero for a community spread outbreak of this disease, and whereas COVID-19 constitutes a critical public health and safety threat to the health and welfare of the residents within the exterior boundaries of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe and has not yet been contained. Whereas the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe hereby desires to take additional measures to protect all residents of the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation in accordance with the emergency declaration, and whereas in an effort to limit exposure to the virus, and it is the duty of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe to protect the children and general public. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Council hereby declares the following. In an effort to slow the spread of COVID-19 virus on Standing Rock Reservation and protect our Wakanija, all children will be required to shelter in place. This means all children under the age of 18, all children are required to stay home unless medically necessary. 2, that the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe recommends requires that all residents shelter in place with the exception of essential staff, medical, travel, going to the store or gas station for food and groceries. 3, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe requires that children not be allowed in any business within the boundaries of the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation for their protection, their safety, health, and welfare, and the people they live with. 4, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe's curfew for children during this emergency declaration will be required to be indoors on a daily basis without regard to weekends beginning at 8 o'clock p.m. until 6 o'clock a.m. until further notice. Be it further resolved that Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Council hereby declares a daily curfew for all residents on the Standing Rock Sioux Indian Reservation effective immediately from the hours of 10 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time until 6 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time except for emergency or other essential services. Violators will be asked to go home, escorted home, or placed in protective custody, Section 11-110, protective custody, or charged with disorderly conduct, Section 4-1001. B, presents a danger to himself or others. And be it further resolved that Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Council hereby declares essential services to be work-related services to the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, BIA, IHS, or other emergency travel. And be it further resolved that the Chairman and Secretary of Tribal Council are hereby authorized and instructed to sign this resolution for and on behalf of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe.
Okay, thank you. Brandon?
I don't have anything right now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other? Jesse?
Mr. Chairman, thanks. I just was going to comment. I know I was talking to Avis over here for a bit, but there's already crimes been going on right now too, you know, so I think like everybody knows this enhances it. But one of the things I'm kind of where Charles is on this, I hate to be a fence rider, but geez, I don't know, you know, but at the same time, I've been talking to one of my relatives who lives in Duck Valley, Oahe Res. They don't have any cases in Idaho yet there, but they've had a curfew for about a month and a half now. And it's the same time, 10 o'clock to 6 a.m. And he said that, you know, he had to adjust to it no matter what. You know, he took his kids were isolated for 4 months. And I know it's two different places, but this pandemic it's crazy. You know, I see crime every day where I live on my street back there in New Sioux Village there, you know, daily. You know, kids, I see some of my kids walking through from the public school, and I'm sure they're bored, but I think overall, everybody's gonna have to adjust to this. I mean, we all are, even though if it's something that we don't want to do, because I know a couple people have said the same thing. How are you guys gonna regulate that? How is BIA gonna regulate that? You know, I know Game and Fish probably help with that too, but that's my thing. I mean, you guys got enough staff to do that, you know, to regulate that. But you know, for the most part, I got to lean towards supporting it because I got some you know, elderly relatives that, you know, got some real heart diseases. So, you know, that's just my comment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Avis?
We're not gonna be creating criminals because there is already crimes being committed. Like Chief Edwards said, there's already DUIs, assaults, pursuits. that are already going on. So this resolution doesn't create more criminals. Also, living on the South Dakota side, I'm one of them that's really greatly disappointed in the South Dakota governor's leadership. He did not issue any shelter-in-place orders or close any of the bars and restaurants, leaving it up to different townships and up to the county governments, and they're grappling with it down there, which has caused this coronavirus to grow in leaps and bounds. And as of yesterday, South Dakota, in the whole nation, South Dakota ranks #1 as the state where the virus is growing rapidly. That's what they get to be noted for, is that South Dakota is the state where this virus is so out of hand that there's no hopes of controlling it. It's going to just grow in that state because she didn't act. And also, if you look at the Public Health Act, this national act, I asked Petra to print it out for me because it is quite lengthy, and I couldn't print it out at home. But if you look at that act, it tells the leadership to weigh the rights of individual freedom against the public health, the need to not only, with this contagion, there's no vaccine, and it's really highly contagious. So you have to weigh the rights of individuals with the need to protect the public, the general public. And so I think it's really appropriate that we approve this resolution. We haven't, as a leadership, done anything to protect our people aside from the emergency declarations and the executive orders our chairman did, and I thank him for that. And also, the last thing I'm going to say is we approved that resolution for the ICS, and in that resolution, it said this tribal council would take the recommendations of the ICS team. And this is a recommendation that came directly from the ICS team. The other resolution he's going to refer to also came. Margaret was there, and she presented. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Brandon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Although I agree with the idea of I can agree with the idea of the curfew, but there are, under the first, therefore be it resolved, Section 1, we're asking children under the age of 18 to stay home unless medically necessary. I think that what is stay at home? I mean, and maybe this is a question for you, Chief Edwards, is if children are outside playing at home, is that something that's going to be enforced? It's a little ambiguous to me right now in what stay at home means. And I know it's the police's job to enforce the law and let the courts, figure out the semantics down the road. But how is that interpreted in terms of law enforcement?
Yeah, and for us, with officer discretion, I would encourage as much definition as possible in whatever language you're going to put out so that it gives us a better idea of a picture that the tribe's wanting to paint for what you want us to do. So I would just encourage maybe to define that as best as possible. That way we don't have to, where our discretion may not jive with what's being anticipated from it. Right. I would just encourage more is better when it comes to this for us.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Corey, then Wayne.
Okay, I guess to a little bit off of Brandon's deal there, it's still going to be the judge's decision no matter what on that part, no matter how much language we got in there. I guess for me, it's what sense are we trying to go in as far as trying to avoid it coming here? Because we have essential employees, we have essential doctors, we have essential nurses, ambulance drivers, police force. They're coming in on a daily in and out of a hot spot. And during the daytime, we have our own people going up on their stimulus checks to Bismarck during the day in a hot spot. Mobridge, Bismarck, whatever. So I guess I can agree with the curfew part for the kids, but also putting people in isolations is going to be depression on top of depression, I guess, I mean, but I can support the curfew side of it, but not the other ones, because now you're gonna have people, like we discussed in judicial, you're gonna have people sitting in their yard, you know, taunting the PD. Well, this is my yard. Well, technically in the district, it isn't because it's district property. Well, then you got some that are renting from a private owner. Well, that ain't, you know, it's private property. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that we probably should be looking at in that detail part. That's all I got.
Thank you, and that's a good point. 80% of our people that come are from the hotspots. I think you made that comment. So are they tested? Again, I mean, it's a good point you're bringing up. We're getting to the pros and cons, so it's your point and it's well taken. Wayne and then Ben.
Chief, one of the questions I got, are the police able to plan to patrol all districts? Do you have enough manpower to do that, or are you gonna go to Judge Swallow and say, well, we need this down and it's only gonna be on paper? Because the people I have in my district are more party people that are the same ones I've complained and complained. They're there from 10 o'clock to 5 in the morning, and yet we see a patrol come by on Sunday where everybody's in church at 10 o'clock in the morning and nothing gets done. Or the other question is, the treatment center out by Wakbala. Has anybody done anything with them? I see those kids out there. How about your juvenile detention center? Are they closed? Or your police, your jail, are they? Is everybody gone from there? So we're still gonna. If there's a virus here, that virus don't care who brings it in, what color you are. It don't care. So my biggest thing is, are you able to do that without, you know, whatever this resolution says, it's just on paper. What are we gonna do? I can't control the people that, this body here is gonna be able to control the people from Wakbala going into Mobridge to pick up their, I'm gonna say groceries, whatever. We have people, Cheyenne River just made some kind of a big statement down there. And I heard this from my half-brother down there, that they're gonna start to, you're gonna have to have a piece of paper signed by somebody to come off the reservation and to go back. And if you're one of their enrolled members that live in Mobridge, they won't let you back in there. Well, I don't know. It's crazy. Thursday, I went to the VA down in Sturgis. They put me 80 miles out of my way. But that was a little inconvenience for me. But that was all right. I went down my thing, I come back. And it's, and I listened to Mr. Chairman Frazier over the radio, the milkman, the swans man. And there was a couple other truckers that they're gonna have to really look at. They had a call-in. Somebody said, well, you can see the price of food going up already. So what are you gonna do? I mean, it's not your fault, but I'm asking is there a plan to patrol all the districts that are more being able to control these? Because what we got is meth coming in from across the river. You're not gonna be able to. If we want you down there, we want you down there on Saturday night, not Monday afternoon to pick that, look for these guys. That's what we got right now. Thank you.
Just to offer a little bit, for example, to say, can we control this? Do we have the manpower? One thing I'd have to say is you can look at our entire Title IV code. I mean, we've got rules and laws for everything. We can't always be there to enforce everything. That's just the reality of it. This is just another tool and a parameter that we're showing people. This is what the tribe is asking for. Here's what we're looking for compliance, and we're going to use that as a tool, but we also got to prioritize. Last night, we got 15 grams of methamphetamine, a gram of heroin out of Cannonball. We had a guy beaten with a bar who assaulted 3 people. You know, I had officers tied up on several calls that were high priority for a long time. Did that take away from the districts? Absolutely. I had people tied up collecting evidence, collecting statements, trying to deal with different crime scenes. It's going to happen. But between those calls, when we are out patrolling the districts, this is a tool that if we see an issue, that we're able to have something behind us to enforce something, to try to prevent it or try to deter it. That's the reality of it. Driving around the neighborhoods, telling every kid to either go in their yard or go in their house, that's not what's going to happen. I see this more as a measure where we have a call or a complaint, we go to that house for a call to service, and there's 10, 12 people inside, and they're partying. It gives us that ability to address that issue, more or less not driving down the streets trying to play, street police, tell everybody to stay in their curbs. This is more, to me, what I see as a tool for us to use in discretion to help in our districts. We usually log anywhere between 20 to 40 district checks or community policing checks per shift. So there's quite a few that still get worked in throughout it. It just all depends on the call volume and where the calls are at. People with meth and pursuits and assaults, runaways right now. It's pretty high volume, and it does take more than one officer oftentimes to do it. Just the other day, myself and 3 officers were tied up placing 13 children in one community that had been neglected and abused. That's a big strain. That's a heavy burden, not just on us, but CPS and everybody involved. Fish and Game has been heavily involved with us also, so I know it's pulling from their assets to assist with us. So we're trying to use all the resources we can. So I'm not saying that we can go around and enforce this 100% in every single community. However, on calls to services in the communities, we will use it as a tool to address it as needed with officers' discretion.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Wayne? Ben, you're up.
Here's something, Chair. Is your juvenile detention center full?
It's not full today. Right now, it's not full.
How many enrolled members and non-enrolled members are there?
Currently?
Yes.
I need just a second. I will say that our adult center was over capacity today. Currently, we have 4 males and 6 females inside the juvenile detention center, which leaves 4 male beds open and 2 female beds open. So roughly, we're sitting at just a little over, I'd say right around 60%.
Yeah, member and non-member?
For this tribe, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
I would have to look at each one. I wouldn't know by name.
Okay.
I just know they're all enrolled, obviously. That's all I can tell you. But I would think that usually we're running about half of what's in there are actually from here, because it is a service center where others are brought in here. We had a couple a few weeks ago, but I think we got them moved out. There may only be 1 or 2 in there that aren't from here.
Next question, as far as the curfew goes, Chairman, what is there a deadline, like, as far as this emergency goes and stuff like that, or is it just going to be, or when does it?
Again, Charles, you guys discussed all that up there. You want to answer that?
And that's a good question, and it's one that I know that we can set a deadline here. We could say we're going to do it for 2 weeks, and then we can revisit it in 2 weeks, or we could do it a week starting. But at any time, this resolution, if it passes, can be rescinded. But I know what you mean is that out there with the people with the information, as long as they know there's they don't feel like they're left in the dark on something, they feel a little more comfortable. And I know what you mean by that. So if there's any recommendations for amendments to this resolution, let me know. And, we can consider them. I know I made the motion. One of the things is the time frame also. So think about that. I'll be sitting here thinking about it. And I know we went over in committee And based upon the numbers which we gathered in the room that day, we still have that variable, that unknown. And that's what we're figuring out here today is what's the middle ground? What's the true middle ground? Because with this resolution coming straight forth and passing, you know, every single person here has input, and you can request for that to be amended. You can adjust the times. You can adjust the length. You can even set a deadline. Those different types of things. So that's what we talked about. We wanted to talk about it here on the floor with full council, because otherwise, if we were gonna just bring something straight out of judicial and try to push it through, you know, then it would be wouldn't make any sense, because something of this magnitude, where it's gonna affect every single man, woman, child's life, you know, we need to have as much input as possible. So those are, if anyone has recommendations for amendments, I would say bring them forth or mention them, and we can talk more about it, because it's not something we can just say, make a motion, second, call question. You know, we can't just do that. We have to talk about this. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may too, on the enforcement side, just to add, in case there's anybody else that has questions. I've heard some of the language in there about PC, the protective custody, and also disorderly conduct. In full scope, from what I'm hearing of this, we're not going to have a full legal authority to truly enforce the curfew. We can go out, we can make suggestions, because you have said the verbiage that it is to be, this is the curfew. We try to break those parties up. Once they cross lines and aren't obedient to what has been said, then we'll look at the disorderly conduct side. You know, our first priority is 100% of the time is just going to be getting it to stop and getting people to go where they need to go. Because right now we're on preferably a cite and release versus jail. This is an offense for us that we don't want to take anybody to jail on at all. I would prefer just to be able to deal with it in person through words and get it done, get people where they're supposed to go. And if it continued to be an issue throughout the night, or they didn't want to disperse, then we would look at disorderly conduct. The PC one would really only come into play if somebody was intoxicated. The PC code has to be combined with another infraction. We can't use it as a standalone. The way it's written, it has to be combined with another infraction, and that person would be released off PC once sober. So it's a little bit of a different one. It'd be more on the disorderly conduct side, but they would have to get disorderly. There would have to be more than just they're violating curfew. We would just make contact with them to discuss that, to try to get the behavior to stop, to try to get them to go where they're supposed to be. If they cross those lines, then it would turn into a criminal or an issue with us that would be further addressed. I hope that helps to explain it, because I don't think we can cite or arrest just off curfew violation from what I'm hearing at all. We would need certain other lines to be crossed for that to happen.
Thank you. Ben, did you have anything? Then Joe, then Ira.
If we implement this 10 p.m. curfew, how are we going to control these people that's on the highways like from 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning?
I think it gives us the ability that if an officer's not en route to a call, or say like trying to get from Yates to Cannonball or Yates to Porcupine, and they're out running traffic, it would give them a reason to stop and check on that driver, find out what they're doing, why they're doing it, advise them of the curfew, just have that consensual encounter with them to try to make sure that they're aware of it, find out where they're going, and, you know, encourage them to get there. And if there was other issues that were present during that traffic stop, would be things we could deal with.
What if they ain't from that district?
Well, and I think that's where, as I said, it would be just a consensual encounter. It'd be more of a conversation, but an ability for us to talk to them.
And then how are we going to handle these farmers that work 24/7?
And I think that comes back to like officer discretion for us too, that, you know, we have to look at, we would weigh everything. I mean, right now, when I take someone to jail or an officer brings someone into jail, everybody is claiming that they have it. And they want to cough on us. They want to spit on us. I've been spit on twice in the last week. We have to weigh, find out, and investigate a little further. You know, a house party of 10 people in Waukpala drinking versus a farmer out in this field by himself. I'm not saying that that's not still keeping in line with the curfew. However, we would have to look at that. And for an officer to say he's going to enforce one or not the other would be would be out there for us to look at and understand, use our discretion.
Now, is this resolution going to be just for enrolled members or going to be for non-enrollees?
Again, the resolution applies to the members of Standing Rock. It doesn't say non-members, which we don't have. So again, you know, this time of year, calving, you're gonna have people going out, like he's saying. You're gonna have production going on. Farmers have to be out plowing, doing whatever, spring planting. So again, there's things that his concerns are, which I think you said the officer's discretion would be at that time. So once they explain themselves, at that time, you'll know if they're just out and about or if they're actually doing something. So again, Indian, non-Indian, that's,
Spirit of the law and letter of the law is how I see this. We understand the letter of it, what's being written, but then there's still the spirit of that law. And for us to be entrusted from the tribe to understand the spirit of the law and what you're looking to accomplish and protect, I think that's where you would trust us to make sure we're using our best judgment on that.
I think Mr. Swallows kind of hits this pretty much every place here, so. Joe?
Being an old educator, I'm kind of thinking different ways of how we can get this out there, but you know, it's really personal responsibility. Our people are the ones that are going to decide if this spreads here or not, you know. So, and all we can do is try to educate them as much as we can. So, what I was thinking is, the casino uses that advertising company. What is it called? K Bold. Is there any way we can use them to put some commercials out or ads or something like that to educate our people more, you know, about this and what we're doing here as a tribe, you know, because we can't control. Reality is we can't control anybody out there what they want to do. So, but we can deter it by putting these laws in place and educating them as much as we can on what we want them to do. So, if there's any way we can use them to do something like that, I think it would be good. So.
Okay. Ira, then Brandon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate Chief Edwards's overview of interpretation of this resolution and commend all of them, of course, for all of the good work that they do. And it's a lot of space to cover our reservation. So I know that it's difficult to get from Fort Yates to Wakpala in a timely manner, but eventually they do get there. Nonetheless, my concern is our kids, and I fully support a curfew. I'm inclined to support a shelter in place. Being a member of the school board at McLaughlin, of course, all schools have released their children and ended the school year. But what I'm seeing is our kids are sleeping all day and up all night. And a good majority of them, I believe, are supervised and cared for, but there are some that aren't. And those are the ones that we need to be concerned about as well. You know, and our schools have done a great job of providing lunches. Our schools have done a great job of providing activities like homework and also other educational enrichment materials, but they haven't been able to provide that supervision. And this is where I believe the shelter-in-place measures would be, and the curfew measures would be beneficial. As Councilman Whitemount has stated, a majority of our people have respect. A majority of people have care for themselves and for their neighbors by adhering to the recommendations, all the precautionary measures, washing their hands, not touching their face, staying at home as much as possible. But there are some that need to be reminded that, you know, our efforts here are for the good of the order. You know, we cannot command someone to stay home without becoming, you know, a police state, Nazis, whatever, you know, the terms that are used nowadays to inhibit people's freedoms. But we're facing an unknown, invisible enemy right now. And like I said in previous council meetings, we need to respect that, not fear it, but respect it. And a good majority of our residents do respect that. We don't have to look far in Indian country to find communities with the same demographics as we do, the same challenges. Navajo Nation, my goodness, our hearts and prayers go to our Navajo Nation friends and relatives. And we do have relatives here in Sangrak who have relatives at Navajo Nation who have been deeply affected by this. And I would hate to see that here because despite all the hard work and the sacrifices and the diligence that our IHS staff and medical personnel are doing, our people are still at very high risk. And that's my biggest concern is that, yeah, I could go, I consider myself young and healthy, but that means, though, that doesn't mean I can't infect my parents who are not so young and not so healthy. So, as an example. But I'm inclined to support this curfew and in shelter in place. Again, seeing how this invisible agent or this invisible virus has infected and affected and ravaged the Navajo Nation. My greatest fear is to see that because, again, not all of our people, I should say, most of our people are respectful. Most of our people have been caring, but this would recommend to those who aren't that we are serious about curtailing, curbing the spread of this invisible agent. So I do have a couple of suggestions for amendments to the resolution, Mr. Chairman. If it's in order, I'd like to see to be in alignment with some of our municipalities, our cities and towns governments, to align our curfew, suggested curfew as is proposed, instead of 10 o'clock p.m. to 6 a.m., to 11 o'clock p.m. to 6 a.m. Central Time. Also, if there can be an exemption for ceremonies, I know there's a good number of our people who adhere to our ceremonial practices, and some of those are conducted at night. If there can be an exception for those as well, explicitly in the resolution, I guess that would fall under our unwritten laws and customs, but I'd like to see it explicitly. And also, too, I know on page 2 of the proposed resolution, number 3, it states the Standard Rock Sioux Tribe recommends / requires. I would say we pick a word and pick recommends, that children not be allowed in any businesses. That would be up to the business owner to decide whether or not they want children in their business, place of business. And I do know that some businesses don't allow children at this time. So, and also, too, if we can include a provision in there, if we're requiring our residents or recommending and asking our citizens to adhere to a curfew and also to a shelter in place, that we include a measure in there or some language that states that alcohol sales will cease at that same time. So those are the 4 recommended or suggestions that I have. And then I would be in support of this resolution fully. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, before we go on, number 11, he used the word 11 o'clock instead of 10 to comply with Central and Mountain Time. So keep that in mind. That's a recommendation. Again, number 3, taking the word out, requires. To recommend, again, they're going into non-Indian businesses. They're not native businesses, most of them. And what was the other one that I already talked about?
Alcohol sales. Alcohol sales.
The alcohol sales, again, we only have oversight of actually 5, but the 2 casinos, Kennel, Cannibal, and Fort Yates. Now, keep in mind, in the past, and I'm not going to stay long on this, but in the past, the tribe shut down the tribal businesses, liquor establishments, and everybody headed to Solon, Selfridge, McLaughlin, off the reservations, and then coming back. So, and then also the pickup of people selling after hours or at home, bootlegging. I guess the word would be. So again, just keep those in mind. These are recommendations from the vice. But the second one that you asked for, Ira, which one was that?
Explicit exception for ceremonies? 'Cause I
Yeah,
know some ceremonies begin at
custom and
sundown.
traditions. I'm glad that it's been brought up, because when you author these and people get together on these, it's thinking for the best, but again, you also got to remember where we're at. We do have custom and tradition, and some of them may be surprised. If you have an officer call and say, well, these guys are going to ceremony, what are we going to do? It's not part of this, and they don't know 99% of our people are from different areas, so they don't know the custom and traditions of Standing Rock. So again, good point brought up. So again, it's up to the council how they want to look at this. But again, please keep in mind, we only have authority over a few establishments, which would create a nightmare for road activities. If you look back in the day, Chief, when that happened, it took a couple of businesses out. They could never recover afterwards. But accidents, domestic, all increased. You're saying it's increasing now? It may double, simply because of that. I'm not for or against, it's a recommendation here, but we don't have the authority for the non-Indian operators, which will benefit, and you'll have more people on the road. So keep that in mind. It's a recommendation for. So with that, moving on, Brandon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Vice Chairman Taken Alive had touched on it, and I'm in agreement to mitigate ambiguity to pick one of the words and recommends does stand out. The second one is, it's my understanding that one of the judges helped draft this resolution. And that, I guess that's my other concern, is that we continue to have the judicial arm help draft the legislative side. We're supposed to draft the policies, and now we're crossing over. That's my major concern, is how do we move forward and not having that crossover, where somebody who's to uphold the law is now drafting the law for this body who's making that decision. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and again, keep in mind, I myself have asked a judge to assist me on a order. But again, I think what staff is looking at is the proper wordage on these and what's available within our authority of the law. So again, it's a good comment. We appreciate that. It needs to be looked at in the future of law enforcement and people getting a hold of individuals of. Okay.
Thursday.
Wayne or Warren? Oh, go ahead.
Just to clarify, I just wanted to call Margaret really quick because I figured that would be brought up because obviously Mr. Swallow is our chief judge. For the majority, I believe she wrote the resolution. So I don't know what was communicated. Maybe Charles knows more. But I think Mike looked it over, Judge Swallow looked it over, but I think Margaret within ICS and the team kind of wrote the resolution.
Okay, thank you. And that's just what I brought out, is I myself asked him to review and see if the wording was right, simply because you don't want to get a hold of anybody's rights one way or the other. So, Warren?
Thank you, Mr.
Then
Chairman.
Marshall.
I just wanted to comment, in our resolutions in our Constitution, it says that every member of our tribe is responsible for upholding the law. And I think that we need to get that message across. So having said that, I would like to request an update on the radio station, on getting word out, and developing and designing some PSAs to go out to reinforce that the Constitution says that every member is responsible. And that also, I would also request, and I don't know, I know the ICS, I've sat in some of their meetings, had recommended that we meet with also our county law enforcement and other agencies to sort of have us all get on the same page. And maybe that would be in order for this resolution as well. So that, anyway, it's across the board, all the way across, and it'll hit every citizen within our exterior boundaries. There was one more, but I can't think of it. But those are the two main points that I wanted to bring forward. And hopefully we can get some word on our radio station. It's been a few weeks now, and I know they're having trouble with transporting something to get it here, but I just like an update on that. That's a lot of money to
Okay,
not
thank
get a
you.
follow-up on.
Marshall, you had a comment? Then we got Nola, then Del Rey. Then I'm pretty much, who do we got?
Oh, excuse me, just one more thing I remembered, if I may.
John, go ahead.
I just got a message, and this is from one of our elders, Elaine Keepseagle. She sent me a message. She's listening in and she's watching. She said she remembered way back in the early 90s or so in Little Eagle, some young men got together and started patrolling evenings and got certified by police department, and this helped a lot. They got control of the people or those who were drinking to really slow down. I appreciate those young men for doing this in Little Eagle many years ago. So that was just your comment, and I wanted to bring that forward to the floor. Thank you.
Thank her. Marshall, then we have Nola, Del Rey, and John. And we're probably going to be wrapping up, I think.
I just had two comments in regards to this curfew. The first of all, I don't think there's been any studies out there in regards to this virus that says between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. that it is more active, more dangerous. If this virus comes, I don't think that a curfew or checkpoints or anything along that line is going to stop it. The second point I wanted to make is that the Constitution of the United States does not have an emergency clause in it. Therefore, Chief Edwards here, he has a duty and obligation to protect and uphold the Constitution. There is no emergency clause. All across this country right now in the United States, people are trampling all over the Constitution and their rights. Freedom of movement, the right to assemble, all these things. Because of why? Fear. These draconian measures that are being offered up, I hope down the line that in these various municipalities, cities, that there are lawsuits because the Constitution is that important. It is that important, so important that there are hundreds of thousands of men and women who've died for your freedoms. So for a few people to take it upon themselves and cast judgment and say, we can tell people what to do, those are the things that are tyrannical. And they're even referring to this as medical tyranny. It is a form of medical tyranny when you say that death is going to supersede everything and we can trample all over the Constitution. I don't agree with that. There's people out there who risk their lives. There are people out there right now in foreign countries risking their lives for your freedom. Freedom of movement is that important. Freedom to assemble, that's their choice. There's choices that are important. And then to basically insult our own relatives by saying you don't have the intelligence to social distance, stay at home. Most people, from what I've seen, are doing that. If you go down the highway at night, there's hardly any traffic. Chief Edwards referred to people being out late at night. Well, if they're out late at night and not practicing these things, well, they're probably committing crimes or doing things that we shouldn't be they shouldn't be doing. But for a government to start imposing and telling on the people is a infringement upon their freedom. And yes, freedom is that important. People have died for it. That's all I have to comment on that.
Thank you. Nola, Del Rey, John, we're going to wrap up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just real quickly, the PSA's update on the radio station. I did talk with artists yesterday from the radio station and just getting an update because I wanted to get some PSAs out there on behalf of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe and on behalf of HEW committee programs. She did state that this week the parts will be in hopefully by no later than Thursday is what she stated. Someone will be in on Tuesday. Corey can correct me if I'm wrong. So we're looking at next week for the radio station to be up and going. And then just another quick PSA for Councilman White Mountain. He wanted to know updates on IHS as far as testing in South Dakota side. There is maybe anyone else who was on that call, but just information for any council members who weren't on a call yesterday. IHS does give a call with IHS and with council members. That's going to be on Monday at 1 o'clock. And there is a call-in number. It was in our email, so if you might want to recheck your emails, that'll be that same number and same code. I guess the whole reason for this curfew is I have to disagree with Marshall Kelly. We are a sovereign nation. We go by the Constitution of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, and we are not the United States. If we want to go by the United States, we won't have a tribe. So the whole underlying issue of this is to protect. It's versus rights of freedom or the need to protect our people. And in the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, that's part of that, is to protect our people. And if you look at the resolution, it's simple, 10 o'clock to 6 a.m. And yeah, you can catch the virus from 6 a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. But the whole reason of this is to encourage. We're not saying you have to do this, we're not trying to control. If you look at it, it's encouragement. We should be in bed by then. Our children should be in bed. If you look at, we're asking children under the age of 18 to be follow this curfew and to be in their homes. But you look at the majority of our communities, and you look at what Chief Edwards is saying, the spike of the juvenile criminal activity has spiked. And where are the parents? Where are the parents? We see the spike of alcohol incidents, meth, heroin. We just heard that from Chief Edwards. So this is not something that we're saying that we're trying to be in power and control of. This is something that we're doing as a council, as leadership, to encourage, to protect our people, all of our people, because there's those elders, like what Councilman Walker was saying. He spoke with several elders. This is to protect them. We had issues in some of the communities where elders had to leave because there were intoxicated individuals coming home to their home. So if you look at it, it's real simple. The other thing I wanted to say and recommend, I guess, is just to comment is I had to step back a little bit, and immediately my intention was to fight this virus. It was fight. We as human beings, we fight, flight, or freeze. And I have to look at how are we handling this as a traumatized people. You know, we've gone through so much historical trauma, and now we have this virus. And from a Dakota perspective, fear is a spirit. And like Councilman Tegenlife said, we have to respect it. So at first, I was all for let's shut down our borders, let's do this. But you take a look at the reservation era. You know, our people were closed in, they had to ask permission, to leave. And I want to respect people's freedoms. I want to respect that because I don't know what type of trauma that we're carrying, how is this going to affect our people if we shut down borders, if we say we're in power, you need to do this. We're already carrying that trauma that's within us from the past. So I had to calm myself down. Yes, I want to continue to protect and respect this virus. But we also need, as leadership, we have to be responsible to our people. That's what we were elected for. And maybe we can visit with Game and Fish to, Jeff, maybe we can visit with Game and Fish to help, encourage these curfews. I'm not saying be out all night, whatever. People are going to do whatever they have to do, but I also agree with shutting down a liquor establishment. I know that we only have control over 5 of them, but get your liquor before 11 o'clock hits. The other thing was Shucks. I forgot, maybe that's mean I have to be quiet. But anyhow, so I'm gonna vote for this resolution. Thank you. Pilame.
Yep, thank you. Continuing, Del Rey, John, then we're gonna look for these revisions, and then we're gonna move on.
Mr. Chairman, I think Warren hit on that comment, but it was just about Corson County Sheriff and Sioux County Sheriff, where this curfew, are they involved in that for non-natives?
They wouldn't be involved for natives. On the non-native side, it would be up to them if they're gonna do something in the county. I haven't spoke to Corson County about their thoughts on curfews or anything. However, Sioux County has brought it up. I know they've mentioned it, but I'm not sure where they're at on drafting or doing anything. I don't really get into their county side of the politics, but it may be something they may be interested in. I'd have to have a talk with them.
Okay, clarified. John, then we're gonna ask for these revisions, and we'll continue on with our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few things. For record, my district had, when the first one came out, made a motion for me to vote no on this, so I gotta follow what my district wants. They don't believe that right at this moment that, there needs to be a curfew. They understand it with the children's curfew. I just got a text from one of the tribal members is an enforcement on that. Why is it that if their juveniles are giving such a, becoming such a nuisance or a problem within there, not following the guidelines of the curfew violations? What has the law enforcement done to the parents? And I understand the whole reasoning for behind this curfew, but without proper enforcement, I can't support it because how I see it is already, and I'll just say it, law enforcement is very scarce around here. And why I say that is over the weekend, there's been a lot of calls. I've had relatives whose cars were broken into, law enforcement did not respond to it. It wasn't a high enough call for them to respond, I guess. But one of the things that comes to mind too is we're enacting on something that's just as common and as catchable as the flu virus. But when this pandemic of drugs has hit the reservation, we stood back and did nothing. And our own law enforcement at the time said that there was nothing that they could do, that they were doing the best that they could. As far as doing things for the tribe on our behalf, we shut down 2 casinos that could have become potentially the hub of this virus spread. I think we have done well enough to curb it from getting here. And we just need to continue to support our ICS. I think if this passes, if it doesn't pass, it doesn't matter. I think we all just need to focus on continuing when and if it does get here, what we can and cannot do to help each other out. One of the other things too is the juvenile center. If we're bringing in outside juveniles from different reservations, can we stop doing that? Because then we're just potentially bringing people who might be infected, a juvenile who might be infected with no known symptoms onto the reservation, housing them here, putting our correctional officers at risk. So why can't we stop transporting juveniles from other reservations here, or other areas, I should say? I understand, Chief, that you guys are going to be spread real wide on this if you have to enforce it, and I understand you're willing to do it, but I'm guessing only 8 officers on a night, maybe even 4 or 5. I watched a high-speed chase go by my house on Saturday night, and I only seen four squad cars right behind it. So I am assuming that's all you had on that night. And I understand that within the districts, people are going to do what they're going to do. I don't think it's up to this body to dictate to them what they can and can't do. I think our people have a majority of the common sense, social distancing, the PSAs, the education's out there from our ICS teams. Our ICS PIOs have been doing great on getting that information out to the districts, to the public. I think we're doing well over enough. And I don't feel that this curfew is a need, but there again, that's just my opinion. And I support my district on what they want, and they support me too. So with that, Chairman, that's all I have.
Okay, we're going to move on. This resolution, again, no offense to anybody. I think people were asked to look at it for the purpose of, so we don't violate anybody's rights or civil rights. So I don't think the intent was there for, it was asking for opinions of it. So with that, the first one I'm going to bring up is the time. Vice Chairman advised that maybe we look at coinciding with the time, Central and Mountain. Now, he recommended 11 o'clock curfew. Again, this is for the adults, because it's twofold in this here. It does reference children later on, but with the adults. So Wayne, I'm gonna start with you. Do you agree with the revision of 11 on the resolution? Now it has 10.
Yes, I do. I guess 10 is just good, but whatever, 11's fine. That's just the time.
Okay.
That's all I'm voting on is saying yes as a time so far.
Okay, Corey, your opinion on it, 10 or 11?
11.
Charles? Caroline? Brandon?
11.
Nola?
10.
Warren?
11's good.
Ira?
11.
Del Rey?
11.
Ben?
11.
Verdell?
11.
Jesse?
11.
Avis?
10.
John?
Midnight.
Joe?
6. No, 11.
11? Okay, again, for the record, Judicial 11 has been revised in the resolution. The next one that was felt that was left out was the custom and traditions. They feel that that needs to be in it because of ceremonies and other things going on at different time frames. And people may feel that they're being harassed if somebody stops them or where they're going. So with that, again, Wayne, adding the custom and traditions in there?
My thought is that, and his personal thought is that I'm Indian. Everybody knows that. And whether we have a smudge or some types of oils, that ain't making this go away. This is a Washichu disease. It needs to be treated that way. So if they want, you look at it, the churches, the states and other governments are saying they're not letting them have church due to the fact that it's it could be spread that way. Well, isn't our customs of doing sweats and whatnot, isn't that our church? It's for each individual to make up their own decision. But I am going to vote no.
Corey?
Yes.
Charles? Caroline?
Yes.
Brandon?
Yes.
Nola?
Yes.
Warren?
Yeah.
Ira?
Yes.
Del Rey?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Verdell?
I was gonna bring this up, what's in, but I know we do have a group, Frank Jamerson, them, they meet south of the bridge there sometimes, and they stay at night, so, and so, yes.
Yes? Jesse?
Yes.
Avis?
Yes.
John?
You know, Mr. Chairman, I think I understand our traditional way of life, and I understand that this is a big thing to us. But how I was always taught was Creator's always with you, no matter where you're at, no matter where you pray. And you know, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of social distancing, also, though. And I know when we after a nipi, you share a chinupa, and I think it's been recorded that this disease is passed through saliva and everything else too. So, whatever this body feels, I'm not gonna even address it. So,
Thank you. Joe?
Yes.
Okay, again, judicial, custom traditions have been added. The next one of concern was on the resolution, now therefore it be resolved, number 3, the word recommends / requires. The recommendation was to take out the word requires. So, Wayne,
I don't even want to vote on that because to me, it seems like I'm voting for it and I'm not for it, I'm not against it.
okay. Corey? No? Charles? Caroline? Brandon?
Is this for both 2 and 3?
This is for the children not to be allowed in businesses.
Okay,
Number
yes.
3, deleting the word requires and recommending is staying in.
Yes.
Nola?
Yes.
Warren?
Yeah.
Ira?
Yes to recommend.
Del Rey?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Verdell?
Recommend.
Jesse?
Recommend.
Did I miss you last time, Jesse? They didn't?
Oh, you got me.
Okay, Avis?
And Gonzalo.
Yes for recommend.
John?
Forgot that seat was there. No, I'm just kidding. No, Chairman, I believe it's up to a parent's discretion on their children. We shouldn't tell our parents how to take care of their children, so I'd say recommend.
Okay. Joe?
Recommend.
Okay, Judicial, you saw the recommendation on that. The third one is shutting down, I think at 11 would be the new number now for alcohol. Keeping in mind what we just said, we only have 5 establishments, 2 are shut down now. One's in South Dakota and the other 2 are here. And we wouldn't be able to say anything about the other non-tribal businesses. So the recommendation is shutting down our, again, keep in mind, these are twofold, because the state has a issue on this also, and again, the tribe. So they have to have a county state license approved of, and then a tribal. So it is what it is. It's something that could be challenged. So keep that. And I'm not against or for. I'm just trying to clarify things here in a good way. So the recommendation is 11 o'clock for the ones we have authority over. And again, keep it in mind, like I said, they coincide with the state. Wayne?
Yes, but I wish all alcohol establishments, except if they have the drive-through thing,
Corey?
be at 11.
Yeah, I know I told you about it. I just wanted to bring it up, but I forgot about it. We also need to look at the stores too, as far as prices go. Man, it's outrageous. Sending people off to the other places too, but I don't know. No.
Okay. Charles? Caroline? Brandon?
Yes.
Nola?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Ira?
Yes.
Del Rey?
Yes.
Ben?
No.
Verdell?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Avis?
Yes.
John?
No.
Joe?
Yes.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
thank you. If I may also amend the resolution to have this, the effect of the resolution expire on May 8th, just to give some certainty to the provisions contained in here. And if need be, it could always be renewed through another time. But just to leave it hanging there, I think people would be less apt to comply. But if we know that there's some certainty here that human nature will dictate that we comply. So, again, we could always amend it, but that's my recommendation, is to have it expire on May 8th with the possibility of renewal.
I would have to disagree with the expiration date. I think instead of putting an expiration date on it, I think that we should just revisit it in 2 weeks. I know we have some other, the only reason I say that is based on ceremonies and the advice that was given from our ancestors, our leaders. I want to believe. I do believe. So I don't want to put the expiration date on it, but I just think that we should revisit it instead of putting a date on it. We can revisit it in 2 weeks.
Okay. Avis,
I guess I would like to revisit it at a later date because the peak is supposed to hit in June. So if you want to base it on science, it's supposed to hit in June, so I'd rather just keep it in place.
okay. Brandon,
Mr. Chairman, I can support that amendment, and I'd request that we go around for consensus.
excuse me?
We'd go around for consensus again?
Okay. All right. Vice Chairman, expiration May 8th of the closure, right? Or the whole resolution? Just the whole resolution you're talking about?
Yes, the entire resolution be considered through May 8th, thereby expiring. I know we are slated to have our regular meeting on May 5th, May 5th and May 6th, if necessary. So we could revisit it at that time, but just wanted to put an end date on things rather than, this is going to, give people anxiety to know that it's, going to go on through Christmas or whatnot. If it has to be based on science, then yes. But this will just give some finality to it, I guess you could say, that we're only going to be in this position through May 8th. If it's peaking, whatnot, we can certainly extend it, but this would, I guess, reduce the anxiety that people have that we're going to be under this forever.
Wayne,
Yes, I agree with the vice chairman. At least we can see what happens between now and then. Thank you.
Corey,
I think it should be day to day, so, no.
yes or no? No? Charles? Yes. Caroline? No. Brandon?
Yes.
Nola?
No.
Warren? No. Ira?
Yes.
Del Rey?
Will this, when will this start? Immediately? Tonight? Okay. Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Riddell?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Avis?
No.
John?
No.
Joe?
No.
Eight to 7. May 8th. Okay, that's going to be it for that with the revisions, judicial. You brought it forward, so those revisions will be added on to the resolution. Just for your information, council, the question was asked about the juveniles out there. How many from Standing Rock, how many from other? Out there at the center right now, there's 1 from Standing Rock, the other 9 from other reservations, just for your information. So I need a motion. The motion is there. We need the revisions that we just did to be added in, deleted, added.
I'd like to amend my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do I have a second? Or the second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Riddell Bob Telbear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui, John Pretty Bear,
No.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin.
No.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker,
Yes.
12 yes, 3 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Okay, moving on, judicial.
Not that long, my laptop died and everything. But, moving on to the next motion, we have motion number 4, I believe. Motion number 4, motion was made by Warren Hawk, seconded by Avis Legal to approve to authorize the adaptation of the emergency health order for temporary quarantine by resolution. Vote was 6 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried. I'll move.
Charles, second.
Second.
Second by Avis.
And basically, this is one thing that everyone in the room, everyone agreed upon it 100%, and this would put the mechanisms in place so that when we do have a positive, that those individuals will be looked after, cared for, those different types of things would be in place. So it was kind of, I know it was, we knew that there would be a case, but when it happened, there wasn't really anything in place to ensure the safety of that individual and also those, the rest of our tribal members. So this right there, that resolution would put those into place where we'd have avenues to work with and ensure the safety of everybody.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Riddell Bob Tilbear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker,
Yes.
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
That's all we have for that, for this one set of minutes. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve of our meeting minutes from April 16th, 2020.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Del Rey? My right ear's bounced. I heard Del Rey better and left. All in favor?
Riddell Bob Tilbear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison,
Yes.
Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker,
Yes.
15 yes, 0 no, 1 not voting, motion carried.
I think that's all we have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on, we've done a judicial. Others, I think we have some resolutions here. Somebody want to hit
Oh,
those?
Mr. Chairman,
ahead.
one thing I did forget, we do have a resolution that can be within the others. I'll have to get them printed out. But it's for one we had received from Mr. Van Norman as of late, and it's just something we want to pass to get sent out.
Charles, you have that on hand? If you do, I think it's the Alaskan Corporations is one of them. Come on, come up forward. And again, administration, you got 3
Policy.
draft resolutions here. You guys, Angie, you want to, or yourself want to bring these up? They've been passed out here. Or 2 of them.
It's the policy changes.
Charles, come on up.
Oh, I see. The Mary, once Mary worked on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go grab it.
I think the workplace safety policy. Charles, go right ahead. And again, please keep in mind, a little update on this is that, I know Van Norman is bringing it up, but Charles and a couple other council people have been working to try to get some of the casino issues taken care of through this stimulus package that's going on. And I think over the long weekend of Easter, we were here a couple times, Charles and myself and a couple other ones that had to do some revisions and get deals on letterheads and out, supporting, opposing, whatever it may be. But again, or asking more so than clarification. So again, this one here is probably, I'll let him talk a little bit about it. It has to do with the Alaskan corporations getting all that Mazda, and they don't deserve it. The villages of Alaska do, but corporations don't. Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chairman, members of council. I have Sonia making some copies for you guys regarding this resolution. It basically, what the chairman spoke of is it's Alaskan corporations that are trying to get in on this $8 billion set-aside.
Charles, speak up a little bit louder.
Okay, sorry. Okay, the Alaskan Native villages deserve it. However, those corporations are trying to get based off of a land base. And according to the CARES Act, they may be eligible. This resolution will define and point out the reasons why we think they're not eligible, these corporations, because according to the attorney, they're gonna grab as much, maybe even up to half the 8 billion that's set aside for tribes. Okay, regional, Alaskan Native or a regional village corporation, but it does not recognize them as Indian tribes. Indian tribe, band, nation, or other organized group or community, including any Alaskan Native village or regional or village corporation as defined in and or established pursuant to Alaskan Native Claim Settlement Act, 85, 688, 43 USC 1601, which is recognized as eligible for special programs and services provided that the United States to Indians because of their status as Indians. So that's what we're saying is the corporations are not identified as Indian tribes. Again, I have a couple of copies coming around, but I wish I had it in front of you guys so you guys could see. So if I can buy some time, I guess.
I guess, again, just keep in mind, council, it is what it is. We're opposing the corporations that are up in Alaska. We're opposing them getting any of this $8 billion. That'll be a big, big chunk of money because of their land base that they have oversight on. And again, the villages and the tribes in the states down here, the lower states will be hurt by that. And one thing you got to remember is that the Great Plains, the Northern Plains up here, we're always, when the formulas are said and done, we get the dirty end of it. We don't get the funding we should. So by allowing these corporations up in Alaska to take advantage of the situation, and understand they're 280 state, they're public law 280, but that doesn't give them the right to take advantage of our financial needs here on the Northern Plains, the Great Plains region also. So Charles, you could, anybody wants to jump in on this, you're more than welcome. Ira?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The second element to the concerns that Mr. Bailey has raised and is the fact that the money was appropriated by Congress in an Emergency CARES Act and was to be dispersed or distributed by the U.S. Department of Treasury in cohorts or whatever with and working with, in partnership, I should say, in partnership with the Department of Interior. So I, of course, invoked having the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs be involved. And the second element to the concern is the fact that Assistant Secretary Tara Sweeney used to be an executive director of one of the Alaska Native corporations and also as a member. So one element of that fact is the conflict of interest. So there's a stark conflict of interest there because she was involved on behalf of tribes to be our trustee, so to speak, to be our advocate. There's claims that she has advocated for her Alaska Native corporations, which are state chartered, not necessarily federally recognized. So it causes some major legal concerns and sets a precedent that is dangerous for the tribes. So I don't know if Congress is trying to find a remedy, but I do know that other tribes have introduced or have filed injunctions on the disbursement of the $8 billion by the Treasury. I don't know where those stand at this moment, but I just wanted to state that as another concern or second element to the overall Alaska Native corporations receiving these funds. The second element was the fact that the Assistant Secretary is a member of one of the Alaska Native corporations and used to serve as an executive director. So some estimates state that Alaska Native corporations as presented would receive half of the $8 billion and the other half going to the lower 48 tribes, so which are federally recognized. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Warren.
I'm in support of this. Couple of things, mainly because this would, if it's not addressed, then it allows Alaska Native tribes to receive 2 to 3 times more than what's would be their normal allotment, I guess. Also on the second page, it says, now therefore be it resolved. It says the Sistan Wapano Yate, and I think that's just an error, and I think that means to be our tribe. So just wanted to bring that to the attention.
You telling Van Norman that he's gonna be $5,000 for that.
Yeah, we'll have to dock him.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve the resolution with revised amendments. Second. Nola, comments, concerns? John?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can we reflect in that motion that we're going to send this up to the state, to the governor and Senator Hoeven to push forward on the behalf of Indian Affairs to make sure that this gets to the proper channels?
Go ahead.
Yes, I believe Mark will forward it on to Hoeven.
I understand that, but I'm asking for the motion maker to amend the motion. That way it's on record.
To add that in there.
Please, to our congressional delegation, both North and South Dakota, and as well as our governors.
Charles, you got that? That'd be for our delegates. Be North and South Dakota, I guess you're looking at. Second, you agree with that?
I second.
Okay.
Actually,
Second agrees. Go
straight
ahead.
governors, sorry. It would be our congressional delegation thing.
Okay, that's been revised and amended. Go ahead.
Okay, we also did an update in there for fee lands, as the tribe has purchased some lands, and they're still in a fee status, but they're requested to move over into a trust. So we did amend this resolution to address that.
And please keep in mind, Council, and we submitted our land base, our entities and audits late last Thursday to the Treasury. We did add the fee land that we bought over the years, and I'm thinking that came up to close to 50-some thousand. So we did add that in there when our request went into Treasury. But again, it is important because a lot of this has been in abeyance forever. Are we part of the holdup? Maybe. I'm thinking of the title insurance, title insurance, that we may be holding up some of our own progress. I'm finding that out through Aberdeen and DC levels. So again, thank you for bringing that up. We also agree on that, and we're also saying allotted also. So ours comes up to 1.3 instead of 800 and some. So it just added those other elements in there. Any other? If not, all in favor with the revisions, amendment?
Riddell Bob Tilbear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison, Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin,
Yes.
Corey McLaughlin, Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker. 14 yes, 0 no, 2 not voting, motion carried.
Charles, thanks for that clarification, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, moving on. We're almost done here. We got
Policies?
the policy, workplace safety policy.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move on those to get it going here.
Okay,
We got 3 policies here, and then if I get a second, Margaret, Shauna can explain.
Second.
okay, second by Jesse, go right ahead.
I'll have Angie come in to explain because I know she was the one working on these hand in hand with Mary. Someone asked about KL&D earlier. I just wanted to follow up. I reached out to John, and he said that the deliveries that they're waiting for, it's not all one big delivery. They're going to be multiple deliveries from different places. Typically, this takes around 90 days, but they're getting it done in 2 weeks. It's not going to be next week, just to get that clarified, but the parts are coming. So just everyone be patient, of course, with them. I know they're working really hard and they, want to get things streamed and things like that. So as soon as they're up and live streamed and everything, I think they're going to be reaching a lot more people because just with their online streams, they're reaching close to 1,000 people, which is pretty good for online streams when, this is really new for a lot of different people. So just to keep that in mind because we can be doing PSAs like Nola said, we can be getting stuff out there. So that's, I guess, the more realistic timeline on that. But I can go grab Angie right now.
Anybody got that Jeopardy theme song?
I'll bring that up right now.
Okay, again, council, just before we wrap up, I'm going to discuss the casinos, where we're at, couple weeks left that they may have. We'll ask a few things of what's their, and again, I know EJ's out there, they're doing walkthroughs. Ivan is here. We need to look at their plans, which they do have as far as restartups, depending on when the governor looks at. And again, it depends a lot on the testing and the results that are coming in. So when we get done with these policies, resolutions, I'm going to ask that we bring up. Go ahead, Joe.
Can I bring up Jeff? And then I did have a question on the elderly's meals. I know they were looking at boxes.
Okay.
Can we get an update on that too? So
Right after Ange, come on up. We got a motion and a second for the resolutions you brought forward. So, floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. HR, Finance, and I have been working with the attorneys for some policies to be put into place. So you have the Steinrock Tribal Temporary Public Health Emergency Leave Policy, the Steinrock Tribal COVID-19 Emergency Leave Policy, and then the Steinrock COVID-19 Remote Work and Workplace Safety Policy. I know I emailed these to you guys a few days ago. I don't know if you had a chance to review them, or if you guys have any questions, or you want me to go through each one of them.
No, we got a motion and a second here, so any comments or concerns on these?
I marked one correction. I had 2, but Deanne took it, but I'll just point them out to you later.
Okay.
Just type.
Okay, any other comments or concerns on this?
I was reading the emails yesterday. I think it was in the, one of the questions I had was this said, and I, of course, I don't remember which one it was, but there was a comment about they had the option to take the emergency leave or use their regular time
That would
off?
be with the-
Was that, did I
that's
read
with-
that right, or?
That's what the FMLA leave, because there's a certain percentage. Let me find which one that is.
I think it was within a document where they were.
It's the health emergency leave policy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that would be under section 5,
Yeah.
I think 5.2. So underneath the 5.2, for leave granted, employees shall be entitled for an employee's normal rate of compensation unless it is less than the federal minimum law, in which case a federal minimum rate applies. So the compensation not to exceed $511 per day. The employee is entitled to 2/3 of the employee's rate or the federal minimum rate. So now this is what the law is, or they can not do this and take their own leave. And that's when they're taking care of one of their family members.
Any other?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just
Clay.
have a question. How are we gonna pull this with the casinos shut down and no revenue coming in? Some of these programs.
This here is for the tribal, the tribal employees. I don't know if this, we didn't verify whether or not if it's gonna be with the casinos.
Well, I mean, the ones that are funded from the casinos, that's coming in.
Okay, when, with the FY '20 budget, the casino programs are 100% funded. Where this would actually start affecting us is gonna be our FY '21 budget.
Yep, so that's what I'm talking. Is it gonna affect us really bad on that end, up to this point?
I would say that it possibly will affect our FY '21 budgeting process.
Depends on the recovery process,
Yes.
how many people get out there and get the numbers up, unfortunately. Go ahead.
I think it's explicit in a couple of these where it ends December 31st, 2020. But can you explain the purpose of having these passed? And that's to recoup any government expenditures, that $8 billion that we were talking about earlier
Yeah.
under the CARES Act. It's important to have, according to FEMA, if I stand corrected, according to FEMA, to have these measures in place and policies so that we can recoup any losses.
75% though, that, right?
It's still something.
Not 100, yeah.
But beginning as our CFO had mentioned, we're 100%. We know what our gaming revenues are for right now, current FY '20. So if necessary, God forbid, this extends through December 31st, these will expire on December 31st. But so we'd have that 3-month period of where we'd need to find funds for if we remain close to that. But so the concern that you have would be valid beginning October 1st.
And that's a good point, Corey, because 30% of our Prairie Nights funding alone comes to. So it's a good question, and hopefully what the recovery time would be there. Any other? If not, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve. I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Verdell Bob Telbear,
Yes.
Delroy Demery, Samuel Ben Harrison, Wayne Lickingback,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin, Corey McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker. 13 yes, 0 no, 3 not voting, motion carried.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Elders and Game and Fish. Then casinos, then we're done. We got that's pretty much it on the agenda. And again, I expressed my concerns the other day of, and I think Petra has also with getting the need for the elders out there, and unfortunate times are here, but I think we all have a responsibility and a heart to make sure that the elders are taken care of. And so, Joe, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I just wanted to update on that because elders aren't getting, well, understandable, they're not getting their meals, but we need to provide them with some type of food, you know, so.
Right.
I know we sent out an email about boxes, so can you update us on that, so?
I have to remind myself to put myself in a place of, to humble myself. And I'm really frustrated. And so the one song, my favorite song is, and I'll just say one verse. Manka tanka doka heya chewa kielo he midaku yeo wanikta cha doka heya chewagni chewakielo he. That's my favorite prayer song. And it's always, before anything, above all things, let's pray for our relatives, to remember our relatives. And we're all related here. And I always say this, when I went to medical school and I was working in the ER, that was a time to look inward and see that we're all humans and to treat each other good and that I would help anybody no matter what. So making that oath to take care of my relatives instead of fighting them. So I always say that. I don't fight my own. I don't like to be put in that position. So with that said, I'm going to say that even though I feel like the ICS, that those of us who tried to help in the beginning hold no water and hold no value, but Margaret and I and the ambulance ladies, we decided that the plan that was to put together by operations, to put those strike teams together to support the districts would be in our best interest to continue to do that so that we can do the preventive measures and provide services through the districts. And so because of that CDC mitigation plan, that's what I'm still following. I still follow it even if it gets no recognition. The priority there is the 60 plus and over and the people with health conditions. And we haven't even addressed them yet. So one of the things that I had said in the very beginning when this all started was that we need to request vehicles, 4-wheel drive, dependable vehicles for all the districts because we have elders out there. And this is why it's really hard for me when elders complain. We have some elders that don't get services whatsoever because they live very rural. And we need people to be checking on our elders. We need deliveries for them. We have elders that live out in McIntosh. And I have to say that when we met with all the districts, I was very impressed with Rock Creek, that they had mobilized already and they had their list together. And when I was thinking of those elders that are on our program from McIntosh and they sent in their updated list, those elders were listed on there. And so Rock Creek lists and thinks of all of their elders who live very rural and who live out in McIntosh. We still haven't received updated lists from some of the districts in regards to their elders. So we're still waiting on that. I've been on numerous conference calls. I said, oh, I'm all conference called out, sitting on there and getting permission from the state and the federal government on what we can do. We were allocated $47,000 for COVID-19, and we did the onboarding. So I have to follow up on that. We got to get the budget in place before we can start spending that. The hardest thing is that our vendors require that all of our accounts be paid in full before we can order. And why that causes a difficulty is that there's a process and there's a process that has to be in place for us to pay our bills. So anything over $3,000 requires the chairman's signature. And so all the additional little hoops that are put in place, it takes about a month to get a bill paid for those food vendors because the bill is so large. But our bills for food alone are $10,000 to $12,000. And so it's very, very difficult to get those food bills paid. And I'm not sure why in the 2.5 years that I've been in place, I've brought that issue up. And it just hasn't been addressed. Those food bills are not going to change. So I sent out an email yesterday to all the districts, letting them know that we're going to be putting grocery boxes together. We did all of the food, the portions, the quantity of what we have to order. That has all been done. We had permission to go ahead with that. I did share with my funders that some of the districts were providing meals, and I asked if we could reimburse for that. And so the things that have to be in place for that to happen is that the meal count report has to be turned in, a copy of the menu has to be turned in, the nutritional value has to be met for each of the meals. So we can't just throw a meal together and put it out there. So those are things that we will still have to report to our funders to get the funding for that. But they said that yes, I can reimburse those districts for those meals. And so we'll request the reporting be done for that. And then so coming in and this following the CDC mitigation plan, there was 3 phases, and that's what I did for our program. The first phase would have been getting all of these, all of the PPE, personal protective equipment in place, all of the supplies. I had shared with Tommy, I had always was working towards trying to get extra put away, but at capacity, we're only able to store 1 week of food in our facility, and out in the districts, it's even smaller than that. So that's really a limiting factor. So when you're looking at phase 1 and phase 2 of that plan, and you're looking at your capacity, our capacity isn't even there. And so I said, where we should have been starting at ground zero, we're starting below that, because we don't have those systems in place to provide those services in a time of an emergency. We're barely even provide services on a regular basis. And so really, to me, that those should have priority. And I get frustrated and I have to back off and step back some, because those things should have been in place, like the electronic purchase order. I always say that when I started working here, and I feel very blessed to be in the position I am, but it was like I came to a halt. I came to a halt in regards to how things are done, because everything is still paper. And so trying to get my bills paid, I was frustrated because I'm still going person to person, which defeats this whole purpose in the time of a pandemic to get signatures. And that's dealing with fomites. So anything that's non-living still carries that virus. And so I still have to, talking with my employees, I told them that we're going to be ordering the PPE in, but we have to go through that training for them, how to use it, how to take that mask off, and then also how to wipe everything down. So those have been my concerns, and that's the stance I have taken, because as a supervisor, I have done everything that I know to protect my employees and to protect the elders. And so I've had talks with other people in other tribes, and in their families, they don't even want the meals from the nutrition for their elderly programs, because they haven't been assured that those meals are safe in regards to where they wiped off. And then when they deliver them, they're not even in protective gear. And so the thing is there have been recommendations that came out of the CDC. And to me, leadership has chosen to ignore them. For example, the masks. It's recommended that everybody wear masks for the protection of others. So I'm wearing a mask because I want to protect you guys or anyone I encounter from my spit or saliva or whatever, because even when we breathe, there's moisture that comes out of our mouth. And so when nobody is following those recommendations and you don't have your mask, you're still putting me at risk, even though I have a mask on. And so it's very frustrating, because I feel like for my program, I'm the only one following the CDC mitigation plan, trying to protect our elders. And I know it's been very frustrating. Even getting that signature from the chairman yesterday, I had to email 5 times asking, can we figure out how he can sign this document electronically? And it's like push just to try to get these protections in place. And I said this to Judicial last week. I said, there have been congressional acts that have been passed. The Public Health Service Act. And my funding comes from Health and Human Services. That's who my directives come down from, and they were the ones who were given the authority in the time of a pandemic. And it's Trump that has mixed everything up in regards to FEMA. And so the thing is that we don't even have to be creative in trying to figure out what needs to be done during a pandemic. We just have to revert back to those congressional acts. And the healthcare workers have already started to organize to sue President Trump because he chooses to ignore these congressional acts. And so there's neglect of duty, failure of duty, and that's my takeaway is we're talking, this country's crazy. It's crazy because we're so bent as a country on individualism that individual freedom is the most important, and yet we're leading the world in numbers of deaths for the pandemic, for the virus. And so to me, I still don't have protections in place as an employee. And so who's looking out for me? Because it clearly isn't my supervisor and it isn't my leadership. I don't feel that way because I'm the one that has to push for those systems to be in place to protect us. And I'm glad to help other directors who call me and ask me what to do because they haven't been given any direction. And they've been told to go about business as usual, like nothing is going on. But ignoring what's going on isn't going to help us whatsoever. So I just want to say that in regards to the elders, yes, we have approval to go ahead and get grocery boxes, order them food. We have stuff that's in a care package. I asked some of my workers to come into the office and start. We got like 50 pounds bags of rice, 50 pounds of beans. So they're going to have to start measuring those out, reminding them to use protective gear, trying to get our vehicles serviced. So I'm still requesting for dependable all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive vehicles for each of the districts, because it'll be up to the districts and their strike teams to deliver these boxes to the elders in their communities. One of the districts responded yesterday that there was no one licensed to drive their vehicle. And so does that mean there needs to be an additional strike team to help them? Or how do we address that? So this isn't something that, these are issues that have been in place all along that really need attention and to be addressed. And so I have shared that with the districts. I updated that list again yesterday. I added all of the district reps to all of the districts so that they know that we're communicating with them and what's expected. So hopefully I can get my bills paid. And then we can order. On Friday, I finally got the text from my vendors that we can order masks, finally, because those have been on hold due to the shortage that was in place for the country. So only healthcare industry had priority on ordering them. So we can finally order those, but we can no longer order on credit. Everything has to be paid in full for all of the vendors. So I know that we're a bit protected here on the tribe, but the economy has fallen apart all around us. And so they said that they want to make sure they can pay their employees too. So, any questions?
Go ahead, Corey.
I guess just in regards to that, then if finance is here telling us that the programs are already 100% funded for this year because of this outbreak, then what's the holdup?
The holdup is there's no EPO. The EPO system isn't up and running. The e-signatures are not in place. I'm just not gonna be going. I know there's people who have health conditions that should already not, as essential workers, what are in place to help to protect them? And I can honestly say those things are not in place to protect them other than closing this off to the public. We're still mingling too much. There's too much people in this room. There's masks not being worn. So the other thing in regard, what you're talking about finance too, and in regards to employers, and I know Chairman had talked about it, one of the things that we should be doing is recording all the hours that we work. We haven't even talked about hazard pay, and I haven't even brought up hazard pay because I don't have it in my budget to earn hazard pay for myself or for my employees. But one of the things as an ICS planning chief was that we report loss of income, wages, including the hazard pay. I shared with the districts, all services provided, do a meal count for every meal you put out, including the ones that are done with the schools. So those can be counted as in-kind. Any donations that come in, that's considered in-kind. What is our loss of revenue? So all of that should be reported to the state for FEMA. So even, I think Rock Creek was doing baby meals. They're even passing out baby meals for the little ones, and so taking account of that. So it's just really frustrating how slow everything is how slow it moves to just get anything done.
Okay, thank you. And again, please keep in mind, we have been signing them. As of yesterday, we had a 9,000, a 4,000. So we've been working directly with Nutrition for the Elderly, bringing them in and not running through the system because of the everybody not on board yet. So
I just wanted to add to that it's not just our finance office, it's the other finances offices for businesses. You would think that businesses are on top of things in regards to their finances, and they are not. So in regards to one of my food vendors, we've been working diligently on getting our account up to date, and we're paid in full, but according to their records, we still owed them from January of last year, and then they didn't apply any of our payments from July to December of last year. And so it's constantly sending them emails and the documentation for them to update their system. And that's just one vendor. And there's a lot of vendors that are like that run haphazardly, I would say. But thank you.
Okay, thank you. And again, any assistance, I keep reminding the council and anybody that we can help, let's do it and let's get those boxes out there. Game and Fish? Joe?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Morning, Jeff. I know we have those subsistence stuff, you know, I don't know, do they need tags for that, or if somebody puts in for that?
Yes, you do.
Okay, I put my application in, or my request in, but we need to open that up. Avis, I'm gonna let you speak on that. I know she had some concerns or
Okay.
issues on that, so.
Well, the reason I had concerns is I think council is aware of some of the meat processing plants that have been hit by the virus and had to be closed down. There's one that was Smithfield in Sioux Falls, and then there's also a Tyson Foods processing plant that got shut down, but that's in another state. We don't have to worry about it. But seeing that coming down the line, I wanted to ask, how would our people that are out in the district, and we're thinking that a lot of them don't, we always take it for granted that we have phones and we have computers, but there's people out there that don't. And so how would they get this permit that you said? How can they get that if they don't have a vehicle, if they don't have a computer, if they don't have a phone? How can they get that done? And then second thing I wanted to ask you was how many buffalo you had processed in case we do hit a food shortage, thinking down the line that it might be a possibility.
Shauna?
Right now, our freezers are full of buffalo meat, and we still have it available for elderly. So when they come out, they'll call and then we'll open a door for them and give them a meat package. You got to understand the price of buffalo meat is really expensive.
Yeah.
So we may give out about 6-7 pounds to elderly, and that's over $100 worth of meat, actually, if you bought it in a store. So if you're talking about starting to harvest all the buffalo for all the people, you're going to talk some high figures here. I mean, it can be done in case emergency, in case there is no more meat, there's no more stores, nothing. It can be done, but, I mean, right now it's a little too soon.
Okay.
But, I mean, we have plans on place. We talk to meat markets. We're ready for something like this. For subsistence for deer, it's available. We have Joe's tags. We just didn't have the mail to mail them out because of the mail system here. We need to go directly to the mail and then mail his tags to him.
Another thing, Jeff, can you call that, like, I talked to West Side Meats in Mobridge, and they're willing to do that.
Right.
But they just need some direction
Right.
from you. Can you call them and let them know?
Yeah,
that
we
they'll-
did. I don't know who you talked to there, but
some
we
lady.
discussed to them,
Then Jeff, can you
case
do-
of emergency.
Jeff, can you do this then? Petra, the ICS command team has an email for all the districts, the officers. If you could get that list and send that subsistent permit and the explanation of it to the district, so the officers could get it out to their people that you have this available and here's the application, and then they can get it back up here.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, before we go on, it's in the code, all the districts have a representative on that. And again, the subsistence is what it is. There's a signature from here, Chairman's office to Game and Fish, and it goes out. They handle the request. And if somebody doesn't have the means. Jeff will probably get either the rangers or a designated person within that district will do that. Wayne, guys, I got an emergency call here, but Wayne, and then after this, we got casino, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Say, it's just, I'm looking at a thing called Native Newsline. And this doesn't really, I didn't get to, I will get to Jeff here in a second, but it says here, this Stacy Bolin, Sioux St. Marie tribe of Chippewa. What she's saying is she does not believe that IHS is prepared for coronavirus, neither is the United States as a whole. It says also our hospitals are all 40 years old. The equipment is sometimes twice as older as any other place. Bolin continues and says 90% of the American Indian tribes have not received personal equipment, protection equipment as they need it. Well, we talked here about IHS sitting here and not having their stuff, and they're going to protect their own people. Well, that's one of the biggest problems I see. I hope people understand that. The other, and one of the questions for, first and last question for Jeff is there a possibility that the game fish can forego or let the people fish free? Because what we're having is families that are fishing and they don't have no fishing license, and these kids are going crazy, and it's a way of making them feel a little better and keeping them together and whatnot, because our youth they need something. They're getting restless. So, thank you.
Okay, yeah, Wayne and I talked about that. We're working on a plan. The only thing is to get it announced. I know we're anxiously waiting for KLD, but we couldn't announce it on some other media and our website that will waive all the fishing license and try to get people out there. I know in the past we've had fishing classes at our office where we try to teach the young to fish and gave free fishing poles and stuff. Working with the casinos and stuff, we done that. But I don't know if we'll be able to do that again with this until it subsides. But that's one thing we're looking at. And then another thing I forgot to mention on Joe's comment is, yeah, subsistence available, but we'd like to hold off until after the birthing season. All the does are pregnant right now. And then bucks, their horns are just now, honk honk, as a joke I say, their antlers are just now coming back. And we like to hold off at least till probably June, July, maybe July, before we really start doing subsistence. I mean, if emergency happened today and all the food shut off, we can do it today. But I mean, like the does are pregnant now. They should be birthing real soon. We'd like to kind of hold off on subsistence. Usually we look at subsistence in summertime and through fall and winter. But for the spring months, we'd like to hold off.
Thanks, Jeff. Any other comments, questions for Jeff? All right, thanks again, Mr. Kelly. I think next up on the agenda is casinos.
All right, Mr. Chairman, go ahead, Brandon. I think you're gonna bring that motion forward.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, if it's in order, I'd like to make the motion to extend casino closure for 2 additional weeks. That would extend it until May 6th. And if there's a second, I'll speak to it.
Second.
We have a motion by Brandon and a second by Charles to extend the closure of, is it both casinos?
Both casinos, yes.
Both casinos until May 6th.
And then I think if you would like to amend that to say with pay for employees.
if the motion can reflect that amendment.
Okay, so the motion maker and the seconder requested to amend the motion to include language that employees will be paid.
Second.
Oh, we already have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions, concerns? Mr. Pretty Bear.
Yes, question. I know I've been getting calls and texts about this. I know their motion reflects, but do we have enough money in there to pay all the employees, both casinos?
We do. We talked with the casino managers. They are comfortable with extending it for 2 additional weeks with pay for the employees.
The other thing too is with the governor possibly reopening on May 1st, that was another question that had come up. Will the casinos open May 1st, even though we say 2 weeks
Well, I think
on May 6th?
I think with the resolution that we just passed today would, kind of hinders our ability to open it any sooner than the 8th, unless this body had decided otherwise at our next regular meeting.
Unless we were to say 7 to 7 hours only or something.
Okay. Again, go ahead, Corey.
On top of John's comment there, the employee part is fine, but what about districts? Or what funding are they gonna be getting up until we reopen that? And on top of that, taxes won't be bringing in that much money either, so there won't be an account for that, so.
Charles, comment on that?
I guess, thank you, Councilman McLaughlin, for bringing up that point, is that I know that it's one of the things that I have talked about a lot within the past month, is that financially, we're addressing the issues now during this emergency declaration, but we need to understand, and I've been telling the people also, is that, yes, we are taking action, we're watching everything very closely, but with the closures, everything that's happening, they have to know, the people have to know it's going to affect fiscal year 21 funding for casino revenue. So I've been telling everyone that straightforward, that just know that we may not have the money that we have had in prior years, even lower than probably something similar to when there was the NODAPL. But with the NODAPL, there was those donation funds which were used to basically offset those shortfalls to the budgets, to the programs. And just since I'm on that subject, that money didn't go to the casinos, it went to the programming, which the tribe had budgeted. So we don't have any, there is no avenues at this time for the tribe to recoup or replace or any of that. So there will be shorter revenue, but I just want the people to know that, because the things that all the precautions we're taking action on will have an effect. Coming up here, we will be starting our budgeting, but with the numbers that we were doing right now, it'd be pretty substantially less. And then we have to take a look, once again, we're gonna have to take a look at our legal obligations, and it doesn't leave much back, and I'll just get straight to it. Doesn't leave anything for districts or elderly needs, and then we'll have to start budgeting less or riffing programs that are basically coming out of casino revenue, and then we'll have to adjust our general fund budget also, so that it will to take care of our legal obligations, our grant matches, our notes, of course. So we'll be in a financially, we'll be making some major adjustments here in the coming months.
Thanks for that clarification. Appreciate that. Again, please keep in mind, I know we have motion second, but both casinos have reached out to lending agencies based on the stimulus package that actually ran out. But the new one that's going to be revised would actually be a blessing to our enterprises. So if they get that passed today or tomorrow, again, it'll be a blessing for us with the casinos. But in the meantime, they had to put in for loan packages And again, it's for the continuous of payroll and others. So it's there. They're waiting for the revision, and hopefully they'll vote on it within the next couple of days with the additional funds to the small business, and we'll go from there. So again, got a motion and a second. Who had one? Verdell.
I wanted to ask Ivan, come up. I'd like to hear it from you.
Yeah, go ahead.
When they extended it, are you comfortable with that, or?
Yeah, we're okay. Financially, we're okay right now. We could probably even go through the end of May if we needed to, but after that point, we would probably have to start making some
Yeah, that was my next
changes.
question is how far, can you see how far out in case it gets worse and you have to go?
Yep, and that's Miss Councilman Little Eagle touched on that earlier. Was the couple reports I read was that South Dakota and North Dakota are going to be one of the last states to hit their peak. So meaning we could go into June or July with this, and if we get that far, that's where I'm going to start worrying. So.
Okay. That's all I had.
Go ahead.
I guess
Wayne and then Charles.
Okay, Mr. Wyman, in case of later on down the road, does the casinos have a plan of shutdown or when money gets super tight, of layoffs and how that goes?
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about, and talking to Mr. Bob Telbear, that's one of the options we may have to look at down the road here, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up right now. Mr. Vice, I guess one thing that, I was just, if you see me, I was having a conversation with, Mr. Bailey, and we've been in touch with, Mr. Van Norman, legal for the gaming department. But also, just to let you guys know, we can talk about it a little bit more, but we're working on online gaming. And, hey, right away, Ira, from the comfort of his home, he can go broke. But it's something that we're working on, and the GMs are aware of it. The executive gaming committee's aware of it. I know some of the other councils are aware of it. So it's another avenue we're looking at with other tribes, and there is precedent, there is opportunity. So we're looking at everything that we can.
Brandon, you want to touch a little bit on that? I just talked about the revisions that are coming up as far as the payroll protection. Again, with that revision of the new money coming in, that would help our casinos. So if anybody wants to touch on it, if not, well.
I think, Mr. Chairman, just to, probably just generally speaking, not too much into detail, is that we have been in conversation. Senator Hoeven last week had reassured that there is another package coming out. The $350 billion last week, I think Thursday, had run out. The SBA had said that they capped out at that point. And at that time, you know, there was a stipulation in there that gaming wasn't really eligible. We wouldn't be eligible because of the gaming part. This next package would make us eligible for recouping those costs, the paycheck protection. We were hoping that something would change last week. That didn't, as of today, talking with Chairman, that didn't happen, where we would be able to dip into that. But the paperwork, all of the numbers from both casinos are in order and ready for submission, and that'll happen as soon as Congress makes this next one available. And if Chuck wants to talk a little bit more to that, or.
Morning, Chairman, members of council. I spoke with Mark just a little bit ago. The PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, for this one, this didn't make it. What they're saying is the language in the SBA should cover the casinos. That's what we're trying to change because it's not clear. To the SBA, it's clear that the casinos ain't eligible. However, Mark's been working with Hovind, Armstrong, Kramer to get that addressed with the SBA. He's hoping, Mark, is that it will be addressed this next funding cycle. The SBA don't want to budge on their regulations. They got pressure from congressional delegations to change it, North and South Dakota delegations. So he's hoping that this next one, they will. So I know that's not what we want to hear today, but those are just passing along that message. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Again, please keep in mind, once this, and I'm thinking that it's going to be today or tomorrow for sure, that additional funds are going to be in there because they ran out immediately, and there's a need for another 300 billion plus. So the senators within our authority of North and South Dakota are pushing hard for that revision, and that will help our entities out, our enterprises out here. So again, everybody just needs to stay strong, and things come out good. It's just what it is. It's unfortunate. So with that, thank both of you. I do have a motion and a second. Arlie? Go ahead.
Just a quick comment too, is that this funding is supposed to cover the casino. It ain't gonna cover the profits that it's supposed to be coming in.
Thank you. That's why Ira said, I'm building up all that Mazda sky when I open up, I'm there. All in favor?
Riddell Bob Telbear,
Yes.
Valerie Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison, Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui,
Yes.
John Pretty Bear,
Yes.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr.,
Yes.
Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle,
Yes.
Jesse McLaughlin, Corey McLaughlin,
No.
Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker. 11 yes, 1 no, 4 not voting, motion carried.
Okay, council, we're pretty much done. It's been 3 hours. I kind of prefer we do these a little shorter because of the issue at hand. And again, we have to do what we have to do to get business done. So again, that's, Petra's comments are well taken. We need to probably practice that more ourselves. In closing, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I'm going to call on our vice chairman to give us a closing prayer in a good way. And people, please keep in mind, let's watch out for each other. Because if we get sick, we can't help others. And just pass that word on to all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Owa Kantaka, as we prepare to disperse from our meeting today, we give you thanks and praise for the guidance and knowledge and wisdom and the words that we shared today to make the decisions for our people. In the coming days, we seek your continued blessings of life, health, healing, water, food, and medicine for all of our people and our neighbors as we continue to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus amongst our lands. And we ask for your special blessings upon those who are in mourning, those who are in grief, those who are tired or hungry, thirsty, cold, or lonely, as well as those who may be experiencing mental health issues, those who are battling cancer, as well as those who are battling for their life against COVID-19. Grandfather, we seek your blessings of for safety and protection upon our men and women who are serving in the armed forces, whether here on our lands or around the world. Watch over them and keep them, Grandfather. And again, as we pray to you, we seek your continued blessings upon our young people and our elders for their protection as well. Wopila genichapid kashila midakiawasi.
Pinamaya. Need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Del Rey, second by Nola. All in favor?
Riddell Bob Tilbear,
Yes.
Delray Demery,
Yes.
Samuel Ben Harrison, Wayne Looking Back,
Yes.
Brandon Maui, John Pretty Bear,
No.
Caroline Thompson, Joe White Mountain Jr., Warren Hawk,
Yes.
Avis Little Eagle, Jesse McLaughlin, Corey McLaughlin, Ira Taken Alive,
Yes.
Nola Taken Alive,
Yes.
Charles Walker. 11 yes, 2 no, 3 not voting, motion carried.
Thank you. Be safe, everybody. We're adjourned.
Mr. Pretty Bear, furthermore,